if she can walk out into a pool party
Yeah.
at 13, you
Yeah.
know, we can all, you know, show our inner one-piece bathing suit.
So the topic of today's video is putting yourself out there.
I didn't really start experiencing anxiety personally until I was probably a sophomore in high school, and I didn't put a name to it until I was 24, 25. I was in and out of the hospital with stomach issues. It wasn't until I was 23 I was like, oh, I was nervous the whole time. And then that stuff started to sort of crescendo when I was performing on stage, and you know, I was having a panic attack backstage instead of in a bathroom before a pool party like the movie. But the feelings are the same. So the way I dealt with it was to deny it, but the real salvation was to speak it out loud and to name it. I was worried that if I named it, it became real. That if I said it, I would never be able to go back from saying it. And it is truly the exact opposite.
I recall my teenage years so depressed. And it was only recently that I was like, oh, I think maybe that was anxiety, not depression. I think it's often, you know,
Conflated, yeah.
yeah. I do have a couple young kids now, and it's fascinating watching them start to deal with anxiety, which are different things make them anxious. And so I'm like, oh, I recognize that, but I don't know how to help. I try to say like, oh, I was feeling that way too.
I said 1 more week of 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, huh?
But they kind of look at me like, you have no idea what I'm going through, you know, which is what kids do, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's very stressful trying to buy a hamburger for a nickel.
Yeah.
Back in my day.
Trying to find those cassette tapes.
Yeah. Trying to board the trolley for work. Struggling with anxiety and discomfort, I would often feel like, especially at that age, being young, how can I not feel this way? Not how can I maybe reframe these feelings to see that you cannot be strong or brave without being scared and terrified and nervous. Life has often been about trying to pursue the eradication of those feelings. And I realize that that's not coming. And what should probably come is more a appreciation for those feelings, I think. And I now know not that I can get through tough times feeling great, I can get through feeling bad and get to the other side of it. And especially at that age for kids, it's like part of being a young person is learning to get through something and get at the end of it and go like, I'm actually still here. I haven't been obliterated by my own feelings. And that's a very good thing. It's not that it's necessarily like the worst thing in your life will be the best thing that ever turned out to you. It's like the sort of false model of like, don't worry about the kids that bully you because they're going to be pumping your gas one day, which for me is actually like a total elitist, awful sentiment to say to kids. Oh, don't worry, like your bullies will be working class. It's like the most awful shit you've ever heard in your life. I try to reframe when I'm feeling stressed or worried as, look at me getting through this. Because if you didn't feel those things, you'd be incapable of being strong. Because it's not strong to just feel nothing or feel excited, right? Something like that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because it's cliche to say that, like, you know, all the geeks will inherit the earth. It's like whatever,
Yes.
you know. But it's
Well, the geeks inherit the earth and then they're awful, like, sexist
yeah,
assholes
Right,
with no
right,
social
right.
skills.
By the way, I like your shirt a lot. It's like so cool. What?
Some people are considered, you know, more conventionally attractive, than like high school grade school is easier for them. But I think that's also not exactly true because everyone is struggling.
Oh,
Everyone's
yeah.
fighting their own battles. So even if people seem like they're super confident, they're on, you know, the captain of the sports team, it's very easy to look around at that age especially and be like, God, they really have it all figured out. But if you really know people, I mean, everyone's fighting a terrible battle. You said earlier on that in some interviews I've seen like sort of, you know, cool and glad. It's like, I feel like a raw open wound all the time. Like I'm just like, and I'm shocked when everybody can't see that.
There's this belief that, you know, kids' problems are over here, and since we're adults, we can look back at them and go like, I've been there. All of your problems must be because you're 13, you're going through puberty. But like, also kids have access to the human condition, and like, that's part of their problem too. Like, welcome to it. Like,
It's hard to be a person.
in the same way that they are more adult than we think they are, we are way more childlike than we like to think we are.
Right. Maturity is a phase. Adolescence is forever.
Yeah, that is great.